DData Warehouse and Gen2 Oracles. What's the difference in a nutshell? We could describe the difference as the DData Warehouse is, we could say, synonymous with a traditional retail warehouse, if we're looking at the supply chain logistics metaphor. If that's the case, then in this case, the Gen2 Oracle would be the freight ship that's sending the goods from point A to point B. So in this case here, in Oracle's job, to go one layer deeper, the Oracle's job is to get information from point A to point B. Think about it like the transportation layer of the supply chain. And a Gen2 Oracle, it's built on top of Gen 1's, where a Gen 1 gets you from point A to point B, a Gen 2 adds more value to the data that was provided. So instead of saying, hey, here's the price of Bitcoin, it says, hey, Bitcoin did something weird, you should probably sell. Or, ooh, looks like Bitcoin is oversold, you should probably buy. And to have a quantifiable, objective, audited and decentralized algorithm that's able to determine whatever metrics it's objectively providing from the algorithms, which is validated on chain, so you can even determine how the algorithmic decisions were made. It just makes it to where you have a significant amount of value creation for they're not necessarily going to be cheap, and I don't know what the cost will be, because again, we still have to figure out a lot of the details, and that's what the MVP that we're building is for, so we can determine these things. But it's something where it makes it to that the amount of relative value that can be created is exponentially more. A DData warehouse, going one layer of abstraction deeper than the supply chain example. If you upload a bunch of information to Google Drive, that's being stored in a structured format. But there's also your costs are going to be much, much higher. If you want to drop 100 terabytes of footage on the Google Drive, that's going to cost you a pretty penny, and it's difficult to programmatically interact with it. You can, it's just a bit more work. On the other hand, if you put that into a data warehouse, it's going to structure and organize that data in a format that's probably going to require a command line, or at least a low code, no code solution. At the same point though, you'll be able to do more with that data in terms of it'll be easier to run machine learning processes on top of it, easier to distribute across whatever dashboards or website reporting systems that they might be contingent upon, whatever automations might be relying on these systems. A DData warehouse is something that's what a data warehouse does. A decentralized data warehouse is something where you actually own that piece. No one can take it away from you. No one can lock you out. There'll be rules built into there, of course. We don't want people hacking it all the time. That's not going to be a safe environment. But it's something where so long as you are not doing anything wrong, then yeah, sure, you can stay there indefinitely. No one allows you to be there, it doesn't. It's kind of like Uniswap. The point is, it doesn't discriminate on who's in there or what it is that's happening. A decentralized data warehouse means you have control, you have power, it's your data. And on top of that, you can get paid on that data. You can generate value because by providing that on a marketplace, if you elect to, then you're able to help other people make even more value. So it's something that a centralized data warehouse, that'd be very difficult to do, because if you have an income stream that's now dependent on a third party, sure, platform as a service companies can prove that works, but there's also a pretty parasitic relationship that unfortunately has an incentive model of taking as much as possible from the contractor. In the case here, what we're seeing, we need to constantly get it to where we're educating the community on, here's opportunities to make a whack ton of tokens from providing this kind of solution. Here's a specific problem that like 5 projects are facing, and here's what we think a good solution would be. If anyone would like to put together a team, well, we're kickstarting a bounty for the build out of this type of Oracle. And I don't know, imagine that you built the equivalent of the Chainlink Bitcoin ETH price feeding Oracle way back in the day on Uniswap. Well, you'd be really freaking stoked right now, because a heck of a lot of people are looking at the Bitcoin ETH pair. It's one of those situations where the decentralized data warehouse allows for a person to have a more active role in ownership. It makes it to where, from an innovation standpoint, we're likely to be growing faster than the centralized firm, which is going to have a more bureaucratic system. While in decentralization, it's a bunch of nodes, individual people hyper-focused on what they want to do. So instead of having a whole corporate infrastructure, the top-down approach that again, bottlenecked at the top, it makes it to where it's the other way around. A whole massive group of people decide to focus on specific stuff, and they create more and more and more specialized solutions until, well, we hit the singularity of super general artificial intelligence. But we are probably a long ways away from there. And even when we do, I'm actually optimistic of what the future looks like.